Welcome back. We won't present all the people here. Maybe we present Vanja Palmer, the person in the middle. He's a Zen master.
Zen, ja.
Zen, yes. Master, yes or no? You are running a monastery or a school on the mountain, Regi.
Wir nennen es klösterliches Seminarhaus.
Felsentor is like a seminar house, a monastery seminar house. It's a community living in a monastery frame. So we need this seminar house for people who have a place to come. Friday evening, he showed us a film about a meditation with people with and without psilocybin. So this is the connection to our subject here. We plan to make a synthesis of the last 3 days of our Congress. And first I'm asking the referents, but also you people in the public. What are the subjects you think that we should talk about more or to address one more time to deepen it? So what I found very important when we go deep into this subject of psycholysis, which is very important. And many people are experienced and they did that statement, I am psycholysis, to bring it more into the general consciousness of all the people. But I think it's very important not to forget that psycholysis, it's just a helper, it's just a gate opener for something much more bigger, much more essential, that is not depending on psycholysis. But psycholysis is, of course, an important aid and an important path to come there. And we should integrate it more and more into our social and cultural structures again. And the question all the time is, it's not about psycholysis, indeed. Yes, I think it's very important and very essential. Above all, on a psycholysis conference, it's very good to stress that fact. Life is the secret and the central subject. Their psycholysis can be very helpful. But at last, it's about the great secret.
Mir fällt gar nichts so ganz Konkretes ein, aber wenn ich hier sitze, bin ich einfach
I don't have quite specific ideas right now, but sitting here, I'm just happy that we are sitting here and we have all those different aspects of meditation, of scientific, of the plants, the other substances, and also from you all. There are so many different approaches and personal ways to be here and to share all that we have. So that we are working in the same field but from different directions. So I'm very interested, what are the directions represented here? Where it's coming from, where it's going to, and what is needed actually at this time. From you, Sebastian, or from you, Tobias, we like to hear, what are you thinking about our Congress? You are more experienced with scientific events than events like we do here. So we're very interested to have a feedback from you. To me, it's a very warm and heartful space here, as I feel it.
Wir nehmen uns etwa 5 Minuten Zeit, ein paar Stichworte
So we will take 5 minutes
zu sammeln,
to sample a few subjects or a few
Puls fühlen können,
quotes from the public,
was euch
just to feel where you are at the moment, what did impress you much, and what are the thoughts that you have.
Mikrofon, ich schreib's auf und ich
I think we make it without microphone. I will just write it and keep it like that.
Andreas bitte.
Without microphones, we do it.
Weil wir da auf der Konferenz auch waren, oder? Das sind so verschiedene Stränge. Also der eine Strang ist der, dass ich sehr schön fand, dass so viele Menschen da drüben ganz natürlich zur Psycholyse stehen. Also fast alle Referenten, egal ob sie Forscher sind oder was sie sonst machen, erzählen von ihren Erfahrungen. Oder? Also von ihren mit den Substanzen. Ja, das ist etwas, was wir natürlich nicht haben. Wir haben bei uns geht es nicht. Und dann frage ich mich immer wieder, geht es nicht oder fehlt es auch am Mut? Weil es wird sowieso kommen, es ist nicht aufzuhalten. Also das ist vollkommen klar. Und das ist der eine Strang so, der mich beschäftigt, dieses Jahr mein Recht, das einfach zu machen. Ja, also was wir sagen, drüben oder der Podium von Microdosing zum Beispiel, der sagt, ja, ich habe das Recht darauf. Das ist ein natürliches Recht, das zu machen. Meine Beziehung zu den Substanzen, meine Beziehung zum Göttlichen, das ist mein Körper. So, niemand kann das mir verbieten. Und das finde ich das ganz Wichtigste. Das beschäftigt mich.
Ja, eigentlich für die Übersetzung braucht es das Mikrofon, aber ich wollte eigentlich wirklich ganz kurze Stichworte und die dann einbringen. Michaela?
Halt, Moment. Also das ist der Strang, der mich beschäftigt. Mich interessiert das einfach, wie ihr das seht, somit ihr das versteht. Die meisten machen das ja sowieso schon ziemlich lang, mit der Befreiung auch. Und dann eben der andere Strang ist der, und das wollte ich eben auch noch ergänzen, dass ich finde,
The other subject is
das ist definitiv das, was drüben fehlt.
what we have here is this what there is not
Die Anbindung
in the US on this conference in Denver.
an die Welt, an den Zustand der Welt.
I felt a lack of connection to the world, to the state of the world, and what is it really? What is it about? It's not just about healing myself, it's also about healing the world.
Ja, Michaela?
Ich würde gerne noch über Integration sprechen. Was es braucht da und was alles wichtig ist.
Integration für die Übersetzer.
Horizontal. So.
Also mich beschäftigt die Frage vor allem so
My question above all is how to bring it all together
mehrere getrennte Stränge sind,
so that there are not two or more different movements.
eigentlich eine Bewegung. Es ist ja eine Bewegung.
Indeed, it's one single movement. But how could we solve the separation in between? How could we connect all those movements?
Also die Wissenschaft, der wissenschaftliche Strang und eben
The movement of science and the movement of shamanism and self-awareness.
Kasia hat das angesprochen gestern. Am Ende von ihrem
Kasia said
Vortrag,
something at the end of her speech yesterday. She was talking about the new human.
Menschsein und
I'm also thinking a lot of this subject.
die Evolution sich hinentwickeln möchte.
So where you think evolution wants to go, and what does it mean indeed to be a new human?
Im Gemeinschaftsgeist so mit Selbsterkenntnis, aber
I saw where the
wie das
Kirschblüte
noch mehr in die
is
Welt
aiming
schaffen
at,
kann und was konkret
but
ja,
how to bring it
kommt
more
dazu.
into the world. I'd like to hear some more words
Die
about
Frage
this.
kommt von mir. Sebastian, du hast ja gesagt, dass du es wichtig findest,
Sebastian, you said it is important to you
mit den Amerikanern,
to network with the others in America.
dass man vernetzt ist.
And the question is,
Dann ist natürlich die
is it
Folgefrage,
really
dass
that
wir
important
in der Schweiz
to be networking
noch
with those
vernetzt
people?
sein, Stichwort Sept.
Is it not also important to build up a network more also here in our region, in Switzerland?
Interessieren euch noch Themen wie Risiken und Gefahren?
You are interested also in the subject of risks and dangers? So, we can also stress those issues.
Und eine Frage, die ich mir noch überlegt habe, die wir diskutieren können.
Another question I was thinking about,
Substanz und was
what is the effect of the substance
eingebettet ist in eine
and
Therapie,
what is the effect of the whole surrounding, of the environment,
Hygienekultur, in
if the therapy is embedded
Schulung.
in a warrior school or in an indigenous culture? You are also interested in this question?
Die nicht gehört sind, die noch sagen, da will ich noch was hören.
Is there somebody who wants to say something still?
Steigen wir
Otherwise,
die
we start.
Diskussion. Dort war noch jemand, ja?
Ich bin so ein Stück weit verletzt zu dieser Deutschen Gesellschaft für psychedelische Psychotherapie und was ich höre, seit da stimmt.
I'm together with the Society for Psychedelics in Germany,
Dieser großen Welle
and
Bekanntheitsgrad,
what I heard there,
Menschen aus dem Zugang haben wollen und dass der
So,
Untergrund auch wächst. In
a lot more people wants to have access to these psychedelic experiences. So, how could it work? That is more like one thing, one movement.
Es betrifft einfach diese Sicherheitsfrage auch im Hintergrund.
It's about security issues also in the underground work.
Die über die Welt geht, wie das vielleicht gehen kann, was man da zu denken kann.
And how to manage with this big wave, this big psychedelic renaissance is flowing all around the world now.
Das ist auch der Schaden, der Psycholyse zugefügt worden ist.
This is really also a damage
Und die fähigen Leute,
that was done to the psycholysis because the knowledge and the skilled people got lost. Now we have to teach and to train new therapies, new people who can start again with a reasonable psychedelic therapy.
das Wissen wieder weitergeben muss. Ja,
So,
fangen wir beim Wesentlichen an, bei deiner ersten.
we start with essential,
Also,
with your first quote, Danièle.
Von Psycholyse in etwas Größeres. Also es gibt ja verschiedene
The integration of psycholysis into something bigger, into a greater thing.
Kreis. An was hast du da gedacht?
So what were you thinking about exactly? About the culture or
Von Anfang an, also schon, wenn es um
that
Therapie geht,
from beginning on, if it is about therapy or about training also?
also dass das von Anfang an mit dabei ist, ja, vielleicht geht es am Anfang mehr um
That we look there from beginning on.
persönliche Geschichte.
Maybe in the beginning it's more about the personal history, about to heal yourself, to solve your trauma.
Von Anfang an um
But
Gemeinschaft geht,
But it's
um
important
Zusammensein,
to aim from beginning on to the oneness, to live in
eine
community and
das
the great one,
und sich darum zu kümmern, zur Heilung führt.
to wake up for this reality, and that this is bringing the healing, not above all the substances. Healing comes out of the connections of the hearts, that I can be quite open again on the heart level and also in the head, and that I'm reconnected to the unity, to oneness. I think this should be there from beginning on, that it becomes clear that this is the essential, or that it's about that, and that this is really a healthy living. Healthy living is lying in there. I don't have something against science. I think it's a very important thing. But sometimes when I see movies, I see people lying alone in the clinics with a alarm button, with their headphones and their eyes covered.
Ja, es hat sicher auch seine Berechtigung und seinen Sinn, aber ich hätte so nicht Psycholyse machen.
I think like that, I myself, I would never have made this experience. I wouldn't like it in such a setting. There is no loving field there. There is no magic in this, and not even a hint that we are also natural, that we are part of the natural system. So it's about waking up for us, for we, and this should be there from beginning on. I also find it very interesting, because we always say there's the scientific movement and the shamanistic movement, and I think the science is very important. But it's important above all to find a path in our society, and it's a long way with placebo and controlled studies, etc. But sometimes we forgot that the shamanistic way is also quite scientific. It's evidence-based, it's empiric. There is so much empiric research, so the difference is not so big. You can also combine the two, the shamanistic and science. This I really liked in your film, Vanja. This was a combination from science and a very natural setting there in your group. I think this is important to make more such studies and not just on the clinical way. It was very impressive what I saw in Denver. There are many studies. And those studies, they showed us also in this setting that I don't like myself personally, but also in this setting it's possible.
Dass da diese Substanz eingenommen wird und dass du eben, hast du ja vorhin gesagt, das ist ja was du irgendwo in dir hast, es ist ja nicht die Substanz, sondern etwas, was du in dir hast.
So that quite often that thing that you have in you is showing up, not depending on the setting. So the substance can provide very deep experience.
Spirituelle, transzendente
also open up those spiritual spaces. And this seems to be the main effect in the psychedelic therapy. So the science says today that people that made those experiences also in difficult settings in the clinic, but those people, they got it. They found their reconnection. They got in touch again with the secret that we were talking about. They lead a different life. They look different on things. So, yes. I also think in the moment we are here, so the bigger part of the science is asking for that controlled clinical setting. But I also think it's good to develop it more and to make some experiences with that. And it's good to share about all this thing and to develop this thing more and more together.
Können wir ein Mikrofon?
Also
Sorry, folks.
in
den Studienbeschreibungen für die Studie, was ich da vorgestellt habe, zur posttraumatischen Belastungsstörung.
So my study to PTDS,
Kritisch ansprechendes Setting haben muss.
they say that the setting should be very aesthetic and comfortable. So I think this is quite old, and they taking care also to provide a good atmosphere.
Also gerade bei ist ja auch generell eine Empfehlung in der Traumatherapie, dass man nicht so einen klinisch sterilen Raum
In the trauma therapy in general, it's recommended to have a good and a comfortable environment. So in this study about PTDS with MDMA, it was written the same is happening in the space of Iboga. They're opening up clinics because with Iboga we need this clinical environment to take care of emergency situations. But this is the room for emergency, and normally it's a shamanistic setting because this is part of the culture. But for emergency reasons we go to the clinic space. There is a synthesis growing in this field. What I liked in your study, that I found very important, that such aids, so such substances are not just for the sick or for the ill people, above all for mentally ill people. I think it has to be made available as living art, as part of our culture, that it's also available for all people, above all also for the healthy people, for the normal people, of course. So we can find to a healthy, common way of living again. Therefore I also like the combination with meditation.
Da habe ich eine Frage an dich, Tobias.
There I have a question for you.
In Kulturen, wo das dann so verfügbar ist,
in cultures where it's available, you're talking about the shamanistic setting, but they also take it on the daily basis to go to hunt, to go to the doctor, whatever.
Wie ist da dein Blick drauf auf diesen ebenso trivialen Einsatz?
So, what do you think about this daily use? I'm a big fan of the movement of decriminalized nature. So it's not about medicalization. This is on the other side. I myself, I'm more like anarchistic and a bit punk. So decriminalized nature, cognitive liberty is a very big term. An adult person should be able to decide by himself what he wants to take and what not. I think therefore, if we have informations how to do it in a safe way, then it should be allowed also that we do it that way.
Wenn wir sagen, Psycholyse, Einbettung in eine Kultur, würdest du, Vanja, sagen, im Zen-Buddhismus?
If we talk about integration in a culture,
auf einem gewissen Level auch so eine Erfahrung, die praktizieren, dazugehören könnte?
you think for the Zen Buddhismus it could be helpful to integrate the experience with the mushrooms? My answer is a clear yes. The science people had their questionnaires, and I had mine, but just a few. All those people were very experienced in meditation, but zero in psycholysis or taking substances. My central question was, is this helpful for you? You were sitting there for 30 years now, meditating. Now you're just flying all of a sudden. The answers were different. Not too scientific, but nobody said no. So maybe it's not a significant average of sin people. Those people were very open, of course, to take part on this experiment. But everyone said, yes, this is something that can help. So, 8 years ago we made a study in Felsentor with experienced people in meditation, and on the 4th day of a Zen ritual we gave to half of the people psilocybin and to the others a placebo.
Sie führen sie an. Das ist die, mit der wir heute sprechen.
It's in both directions. It's helpful for meditation, and apparently every person that has experienced this process of dying is calling himself spiritual after it, or has an access, or is believing that having an access to all those spiritual spaces. To me, it's a very clear result. John Griffith from the Johns Hopkins University made a big study, very, very valuable and important, about the mystical experiences. With high dosages, 2/3 of all the people made mystical experiences with the substances. But 1/3 had intense states of disturbances. And in our study, this was no subject. So, apparently, I would say, to have quite a bit experience on meditation, it's a good preparation for a psychedelic journey, no question. One subject there is that is really burning inside of me. It's not too popular, but I have to say, in my life I had 3 subjects: meditations, sacraments, and animal protection. I'm thinking about the frog that we are treating, maybe not too good, to get the substance. I learned that those frogs are not producing the substance when not free, when captured. So, is it not possible to just say in the West, we don't make that, we let the frog? On the preparation for my speech, I found a very interesting issue, that in all of us have this feel inside of us that the world is living, the things, the plants and the animals, and out of this comes a dilemma, which is very difficult. So, we have to feed ourselves. So, how can we find a balance as human beings in this world where everything has the same value, but we need something, we need stuff to do our living, to survive. So, and I'm not sure if this can be solved at all. We just have to try to make as less pain as possible in the world. If I hear about animal experiments, it's like, wow, I really don't like it all. So, if there is at least a message of those substances, is that we are one, that we should harm we shouldn't harm as far as possible.
Nur am Anfang haben wir ein paar Themen gesammelt ohne Mikro.
Also ganz zum Schluss von der Konferenz hat
So, at the end of the conference, just some Indian chief from the Amazonia was speaking.
mir echt total eingefahren.
And this had a great impact on me.
Die Stimmung auch dort, ich muss schon sagen,
Was like a party feeling, 12,000 people. It started like a rock concert.
es hat wirklich was Verstörendes. Und ganz
Was
zum Schluss ist
a bit disturbing. And in the end, this man was showing up. I don't remember his name.
der hat dann eben gesagt,
He just said,
die Erde ist krank.
the earth is sick.
Einfach das mal hinzustellen. Also so
Just to say this. And he was right with this. And he just said this that you were saying before, that it is about connection, it's about relationship. They wouldn't just take those substances or sacraments. They are asking the plants if they are allowed to take them.
Das findet er eine Katastrophe. Es kommen jetzt immer mehr Menschen dort
He
hin,
thinks it's a catastrophe. More and more people are coming to Brazil,
die das halt nehmen wollen.
to their forest, who wants to take the substance.
Und er sagt gleichzeitig, ja, aber
And at the same time, he's saying, you don't come to us, really.
wir brauchen euch dringend.
Indeed, we would need you.
Aller auf der Erde lebende Tiere sind im Amazonas.
Because 80% of all the living animals are living in Amazonia. And so we are the keepers of all those animals. And with every animal dying for good, a part of our soul is dying also. And this, I was very impressed.
Thematik mit der Liberalisierung rein, also dass Liberalisierung immer auch mit dem Missbrauchspotenzial einhergeht.
This is also the subject that
gegen die Liberalisierung,
the liberalization or the legalization can always lead to an increased abuse also. So maybe we have to go there step by step. But the hunger for such experiences is immense. It's very great. Abuse is not depending on if something is legal or not. So this we see everywhere. Abuse or violence is always a sign of a lack of connection, that I'm not connected, that I don't feel the whole, and you cannot solve it by the law or by prohibition. This is not possible.
Berichten, dass ich von dem Volk der Chipibo aus Peru erfahren habe, dass ihr Lebensraum komplett zerstört wird.
I'd like to report that I took notice from the people of Shipibo in Brazil, and those people they lost their habitat, so they have no place to live anymore. Because they are harvesting ayahuasca plants to make seminars in Europe, here in Germany and Switzerland and everywhere, and that is leading to the loss of their habitat. So they lose the land where they lived before, and this is quite a big problem.
Ja, da geht's die Pflanze und dem Lebensraum gleich wie für Kaffee und was wir alles.
So it's the same also with the legal substances like coffee and other plants.
Angeschnitten am Freitag mit dem Tabakgebrauch.
Felix Ponsegrau was reporting the use of tobacco.
Die Tabakpflanzen so rituell verwenden.
There are cultures using tobacco plants for rituals.
Als Konsumgut. Ja, das ist auch ein Ausdruck von diesem.
And in the Western civilization, you just smoke one cigarette after another. So this is also quite an example.
Thematik, die für mich irgendwie auch folgt auf die eingangs besprochenen Themen. Also was macht jetzt die Substanz und was macht das Setting?
So, what is the effect of the substance and what is the effect of the setting when we are using these substances?
Dass nur wenige Meditierende kommen in diese Zustände.
Vanja said, just a few people meditating are coming in these spaces that you are experiencing with the psilocybin.
alleine nicht tun kann.
So, can we do something for that?
Eingebettet in ein Setting kann man diese Substanzen viel mehr lenken und bewusst einsetzen.
So, with the right setting, you can those substances can have a bigger impact, a deeper effect.
Jetzt sozusagen als Vorbereitung auf diese Studie haben wir am Felsentor ein Seminar organisiert über Gipfelerlebnisse.
As a preparation for this seminar on Felsentor, we were organizing a seminar about peak experiences, and I was leading this seminar.
Ich habe ein Leben lang ernsthaft alle Wege studiert.
Opening the seminar, I said, my lifetime, I studied all those pathways. I was in the monastery, I was with the yogis, I was with the dervishes. But the only way leading for sure to such experiences are the substances.
Weil da schon die Frage ist, also ist zuverlässig im richtigen Setting, weil wenn ich
but it's reliable in the right setting. If I look to the party people or to the hedonistic part, I'm not sure if those people are making those experiences. I think indeed they would, because this is the big potential of the substances. But the setting, I think, how you take it and why you are making it, so that the intention that you have, I think it's very, very important. And also the preparation and the integration afterwards. Those people were very well prepared. This also belongs to the setting. And it's similar like with the therapy, where we insist all the time that it's important. Also in America they were showing very clear that it needs to be embodied in a therapy. So it's making the effect bigger and the risks are minimized by the right preparation, and the effect is not so strong. But sometimes I'm asking myself, vice versa, how can it be? To prevent this unfolding of the substance. I'm asking myself, how can you take it just for fun or in a very, very controlled setting? So I ask myself, because I think the effect is so strong and confronting. So I'm wondering how they do it, what they do there. So if you dance for hours, if you drink alcohol, you are in the noise and with loud music, so you can you can put the energy in quite different channels also. I'm wondering that you are not confronted in a certain moment, but I think it's just working anyway. You are confronted in every case, but the question is if it's a confrontation that is just disturbing you, because you're very, very unclear within. So the energy is going somewhere, or maybe a good setting is enough as a basis to unfold this positive effect. So the conclusion is the setting is very, very important, we could say.
die Forschung, also ich kenne jetzt nicht die amerikanische Forschung, aber so
I don't know the American research, but in Germany and Switzerland, the setting is totally not known. So they say a nice room and a good atmosphere, but the effect of the setting, who is sitting there, what this person is doing, so it does not matter. We don't look there. There is a doctor coming in and out. There is a psychiatrist that can be called if there is an emergency situation. So those are the designs of the studies. If we look there, it's a big field of further research. So the setting is not part of the research until now. In Brazil, Danièle made us look into our ancestors, into our personal history. But I don't know if I would be able to go there alone without you opening up this space so I can go there, I could dive deep, and I also could integrate it. I think it's very important to consider the role of the therapist, of the guide in the ritual, how far he can go, what spaces he can open up for you. So it's not just about the setting, it's also about the person of the leader, of the ritual leader. In the 30 years I made this work, it was very impressive. If you just give it to someone and you leave it there, but you can be together in a very different way. Then you have to decide in a good way. If it's about opening up, if it's about therapy, if it's about a spiritual thing that they are living. And it's depending also how healthy they are on their psyche. But a guide can bring a group always just as far as he can go himself. If you can go very deep, you can take also a group into very deep spaces where people could not reach when doing it alone. So you can provide and keep a space that also for others can be accessed. One problem of the psycholysis, I think, that it can open up spaces in myself that are not going well together with our world that we have, with our civilization. Sometimes I think the science is just trying to integrate the psycholysis into the system that we have. But the personal experiences, like the open heart or death, sex, and so on, they don't have their space in our society. So this is a big problem. We are just talking now about how important it is to bring the science and shamanism together, but it's not possible. All the systems and all the humans would have to change so that it becomes a place. It has to become its place. And this is what we want. Society is us. It's not like there is the system and here it's me or it's us.
Also man kann natürlich, es ist immer die Mehrheit oder da, wo sich die meisten Menschen drin finden.
It's just always the majority is making the system. But it's very important for the system or the society that it is evolving. And there, psycholysis can be very helpful. I wouldn't exclude it, that it's not possible that it comes together. You said it's a contradiction? Because I think also the science is changing with the society and with single humans.
Lässt Methoden zum Beispiel, also sieht, dass bestimmte Formen von Methodik einfach zu eng sind, zu begrenzt sind und findet neue. Das läuft gerade.
And they see that certain methods are too narrow and old and not really helpful in this field. I think it can come together. Integration is possible. I would not exclude it, that those things can be put together. It's not for a long time that we know psycholysis, and now it's not going together. I think it needs time, some more time and patience, and we may not live it ourselves. But studying history, you see there the relation. So in myself, I have quite a certainty that it will come, but it will take a long time, maybe. One of the leading neuroscience people was speaking in Denver, and he was speaking about psycholysis, speaking also about personal experiences. After, he was closing his lab where he had some animals for research, so he could not do his research further on with animals. He saw, it's not possible for me. I have to find a different way.
Hat zum Beispiel auch damit zu tun, vor 600 Jahren konnten nur ein paar ganz wenig auserwählte Menschen lesen und schreiben.
Maybe it's the same like 600 years ago. Just very few people could write and read, and all the other people were depending on them because they could not read and write. And this was changing quite a lot. So the possibility to read all those books yourself, to get in contact with their wisdom, and I think maybe it is similar. I'm very hopeful that the same change can happen with substances and psycholysis. I think this is behind the war on drugs of President Nixon and all the world. Many young people were there and were waking up and making their own decisions. So this was a threat to the establishment, and that they start to think for themselves, this was such a threat that they prohibited that. Yes, it was about interest for war. What would be interesting for me? We have an interdisciplinary team here, so psychologists, psychiatrists, pharmacologists. So we all know how powerful and helpful these substances can be. So my question is, do we also have political support, or are we networking with the politics? Because we want to, if we want to bring it into the society, there are politics who should also bring it in this, on this political level.
In Deutschland nach Berlin bringen oder in die anderen Städte, in Hauptstädte, dass es politisch auch diskutiert wird und dass es auch letztendlich im politischen Rahmen aufgenommen wird, weil letztendlich, ja,
so the question is how to bring it into the political decisions, because this would also be very important. In Switzerland we have a doctor in the government who is pro legalizations, but he is in the foreign ministry, not in the health ministry. He was focusing above all on cocaine, but never mind. His name is Kasia. So this is a challenge for every single person, that everyone is speaking out with a democratic voice. So in the European Parliament there is an initiative with somebody from the Czech Republic, and those people try, just in the last days it happened, where it's about to bring a petition for the legalization of psychedelic substances in the European Parliament. So this is just happening right now. Someone said we should talk about integration also. I think it was fitting good now. So the personal integration is fine and important, but sometimes you also feel your part to do in the world, what you have to bring to the world. Maybe you have to go to politics, maybe you have to work more on the basis to wake people up, or maybe also for the science. Those are two different things in the integration. I just wanted to say one point.
Das Unbewusste analog zu der Arbeiterbewegung konzipiert hat. Der Lassalle, das war so ein Arbeiterführer, der hat gesagt, ja, alles was in der Gesellschaft sozusagen, also von der offiziellen Gesellschaft nicht gewollt wird,
so Lassalle
und geht eben in den Untergrund.
One said, all the things that the society does not want, they go to the underground. I think the point is, if you live in a society that is very repressive, there is an underground and there is almost no dialogue possible. Because it's just a mirror of the official structures. It's always a question of what you're thinking about humans. What is, so as long as it is suppressed,
oder welchen Raum soll denn der Staat eigentlich abdecken, zum Beispiel indem er Aufklärung macht und gute Substanzen bereitstellt. Und das sollte möglichst früh passieren, also nicht erst mit 20, sondern eben auch schon in der Schule. Und dann denke ich, hat man eine ganz andere Situation.
I think then you have a quite different situation. And I miss the dialectic understanding from science and underground. If there are not enough people working in the underground, then there is no base to come to the research, to the field of research and to do their own studies. So there was this researcher, and all those researchers say, yeah, I'm also a child of the 60s. But I think this is important. This is also part of integration.
Zu dem, was du gesagt hast, Kasia, die Integration fängt schon bei einem selbst an.
Integration is always starting with yourself. If you ask yourself, why there are people not having any insights, I think it's why. Because they don't want to see what could come out. They don't want to confront them with their truth. So you have to be ready to take some steps after the integration. And it can have an impact on your being together with other peoples and being in the world. So, do I want that really or not? So, not waiting for the world to change. The world is me. I am the world. So, as far as possible, there's also the wish for connection, for a field, but you have to try yourself to live in every moment like you really want to. And out of this could come a world who would be good or who would do good for all of us. So it's starting with my life, it's starting with my want to bring this to the world. But it's like on a daily basis, with the children in the school, in the supermarket, everywhere. It's a field of integration, to put it that way. Even if it's not about psycholysis. To be alert, to be heart open, to have such a life, to lead such a life, is always integration. But this is the problem in all spiritual traditions. A deep mystical experience has to be integrated. So in sin we have the term stinky enlightenment. So if you had a deep experience and you not integrate it into your life, then we call it a stinky enlightenment, because there is something stinky there. I have also a term from the Buddhism. How much do I eat? How much do I fly? How much space do I need? Buddhism is calling itself the way of the middle, of the measure. So we have to find a balance, the right measure. This is very central. This is very essential for our lives, to find this balance. Before, Tobias, you were telling us you saw where you were not such a nice person on your experiences. I think the experience was to see it is also changing it. Except when you close your eyes, but this is integration. If you see it, you cannot go on like this. Yes, I also think it's very important and not. There were people going to their therapists, talking about speeches to their ancestors, and then they got just very strong medicaments against it. So many people or therapists and psychiatrists are not open and cannot accept this range of experiences.
Die Janine hat es heute Morgen auch angesprochen, dieses Spiritualität zu suchen in der Klausur. Und das mag es ja als Schicksal geben.
Maybe the stinky part is also to be looking for spirituality for yourself in a very separate or segregated room.
als was dann irgendwo mir gehört und sind diese
As looking for a personal experience or for a personal gain.
Und dieses nicht anerkennen von dem, dass das was ist, was finde ich, vor allem in die Welt gehört und deine Verpflichtung auch, wenn du damit im Kontakt bist. Also ich finde, man nimmt es auch.
So I think it's your duty to acknowledge those things in the world and in the society.
Diese Pflicht dann auch es zu übersetzen und das ist schwierig.
So it's also your duty to translate it, and this is quite disturbing. It's a lifelong task that we are taking, but a very beautiful one.
Da fand ich bezeichnend, dass zum Beispiel die Klienten, die wegen ihrer Pathologie eine Sitzung gemacht haben, dann doch am Ende auch selbst von spirituellen Erlebnissen gesprochen haben in puncto Einheitserfahrung.
What I really liked were the people on TV shows, that almost all of them were speaking about spiritual things and lead a spiritual life after the treatment was over.
Den schamanischen Teil, der in jedem Klienten dadurch auch.
Maybe this is an expression of the shamanistic part that is in every one of the patients.
Integration können wir jetzt auch zu Gefahren und Risiken gehen.
Maybe we can now go to dangers and risks of the substances.
Also der Gebrauch. Es gibt eben Substanzen wie das Ibogain, wo man sagt, okay,
There are substances like ibogaine.
Reizleitung, da muss man
They can be quite dangerous because they have a heavy impact on the liver and also on the heart. Or also substances like amphetamine or can be very, very heavy for the heart.
Fehlende Integration,
A lack of integration, abuse.
das sind dann eher die differenzierteren Gefahren.
Those are more specific dangers. And the underground is also a big risk. In '93, when we lost our permissions, it was a big confrontation. So we have to leave it, we have to stop it at all. So we had the substances from Ciba-Geigy and Sando. It was very accurate, the dosage. And we were working with clinics, so they could help us when someone is getting into a state of emergency.
Ich weiß noch, Samuel hat dann damals auch gesagt, ja, am meisten bräuchten es die Kranken, aber eigentlich darf man es dürfen es eigentlich nur noch Gesunde nehmen. Weil eben das Risiko
Above all, Samuel said, the sick people should take it, but because the risk was so high, you just could make it with normal people, with healthy people. Because this supportive network was breaking away. Another risk is people not knowing what is the quality and the strength of the substances bought on the black market.
Dass die Ritualleiter oder die Therapeuten nicht genügend selber ausgebildet sind.
Another risk is the lack of training and education of the leaders, because in the shamanistic traditions you are prepared from birth on to become a ritual master, to become a shaman. But in our culture, we don't have. The biggest risk is that it is not illegal, but this is the biggest risk, I think. Almost all people having problems had problems in terms of wrong dosage, no control about the quality. So I think the prohibition is the biggest problem. In Africa, schizophrenia is an indication for a strong iboga experience, and in this culture is integrated. And here in the West, it's a contraindication because it cannot bear. There is not a field where it could safely be done.
Aus Afrika mit Diagnose Psychose oder Schizophrenie.
I often have patients with a diagnosis of schizophrenia or paranoia, but if I listen closely to them, I see it's something completely different than here. So if they have a PTDS, they also are talking about ghosts and they have other pictures. And so we don't have to listen with our West European ears and to give them medicaments, because for them it's very, very important to keep those pictures, to keep their connections to the ghost and to their ancestors.
Zu dem, was du gesagt hast, Vanja, also eben die Illegalität ist sicher so ein Problem, aber ich meine, ich arbeite persönlich im Krankenhaus und da passieren jeden Tag Fehldosierungen, was Antibiotika oder
I work in a clinic and we have every day wrong dosages, but we don't talk about it. It's just the system, we say, or we don't look too close there. And sometimes also something severe can happen. I think it's not just the prohibition, the problem. It's also the fear of the people using it. So if something happens, you just can go just to spend one night in a clinic. So this is not possible. It's this. So if you look at it like alcohol, because there is normal that people go to a clinic when they had too much. I think this is also a big problem, that people have so much fear from those substances. So, for instance, if you have to write a warning into your study paper that people could die, so the fear will be too big.
Ich glaube, das hat halt, ich fand das jetzt alles auch mit dem Thema Schizophrenie und so, dass der Umgang damit ist einfach in unserer Gesellschaft schwierig, weil wir diese Bereiche nicht kennen.
I think for our society it's difficult because we don't know about those other levels of consciousness or about those other worlds that are completely unknown and very fearful, therefore. So it's difficult to decide what is really a health problem and what is a real space with the ancestors. So we have to work on this, I think. So with drugs, we're always talking about side effects, but with the other drugs, it's not a subject. For instance, tobacco and alcohol, but they are much more harmful. I think this fixation is strange. Maybe you have to go to a phase that is experimental. So maybe we need an approach where you can go there without fear. If you watch the TV, what is the cliché? What is the idea of a drug addict? There is always a specific picture. But so many people are consuming cocaine in Switzerland. But the cliché is totally different. Nobody is like this. So this is just political spread.
Also ein Risiko ist die Angst. Also im Umfeld
So
von
this
Angst
is very important.
können schlechte
One of the
Erfahrungen
biggest risks is fear, because fear is leading to bad experiences.
mit Schuld dran.
Prohibition is also a reason for that.
Mir ist ein Faden hochgekommen.
I had a question.
Selbstverantwortung. Das geht zurück.
Self-responsibility.
Integration in sich selbst, in der Gesellschaft, in dem Konsum, mit die Gruppe, die wir mitmachen.
The group that we have in
Dass
Germany,
wir die Selbstverantwortung auch nehmen. Der Carsten hat das so gut mitgeteilt gestern.
we're focusing that.
Überall liegt diese
We're focusing on
Selbstverantwortung,
self-responsibility.
zu sich erkundigen über so viel wie möglich.
To get all the relevant informations by yourself.
Was eure Meinung ist zu dieser
So-
Thema Selbstverantwortung.
So what do you think about self-responsibility in case of emergency or in relation to the integration?
Eben darauf hinzuweisen, also wenn jemand so arbeitet, ja, dass darauf hinweist,
I find it important
dass da eine
to mention
stattfindet. Eben, wir sind alle, wie du auch gesagt hast, wir sind alle
that we are all adult person. But the question is if people are very, very sick, but but with the average sick people, it's very important.
Wenn eine gewisse Verantwortung liegt natürlich, wenn das Gruppen sind, die angeboten werden oder geleitet werden.
But if you offer such groups, then a part of the responsibility is also with a leader or with a therapist, because they have to be trained and informed. Because there are also the physical risks and the interactions, the possible with medicaments.
Eine ganz große Gefahr, einfach ein Nachteil von Psycholyse, finde ich.
And the great disadvantage of psycholysis.
Ja, das ist ja ein Geschenk. Man kriegt Energie geschenkt.
Psycholysis is like a gift of energy that you don't have in your daily life.
Der Sinn der Integration wäre, die dann aufzubauen, aber man kommt vielleicht nie
So
auf
integration would mean to build up those energies again.
und dass dann etwas entsteht, so ich suche immer diese Peak-Erfahrung, Gipfelerlebnis und die Integration nehme ich zu wenig
But people could end up in just always seeking this peak experience and therefore developing also a dependency on those ecstatic moments or those ecstatic experiences, those peak experiences. So they are focused on this experience, not on integration. This is a big part of self-responsibility.
dass man immer wieder darauf hinweist, dass wenn jemand Gruppen macht, dass man darauf hinweist.
So you have to stress the fact always when you make such seminars.
Das immer wieder zu nehmen und sich gut zu fühlen.
So it's not about taking it from time to feel good,
Immer wieder ernsthaft zu schauen, was ich im Alltag im Leben
but to look very seriously and very close what I have to integrate in my daily life. A community can be very helpful to mirror, to confrontate
Wir die letzten
each
10 Minuten vielleicht
each
noch
other.
in die Zukunft schauen, also wo
Maybe we look to the future for the last 10 minutes that we have.
Bewegung, wo
So where is the psycholytic movement right now?
Vernetzung
Where we want to go?
wurde
Also
genannt,
the issue of networking,
Zusammenführen von Erfahrungswissen und
the bringing together of experience and science.
Das politische Engagement wurde auch
The political part.
Es braucht auf vielen Ebenen Einsatz fürs Ganze.
So it needs an effort on many different levels, apparently.
Kurz zur Vernetzung. Thomas hat gefragt, Vernetzung
Just about networking.
ist. Ich würde sagen,
Is it important? Is it needed?
Nein. Vielleicht
I'd say no, not absolutely, because quite a long time
wo wenig Vernetzung möglich war.
there was not much networking.
Aber grundsätzlich denke
But
ich,
basically,
ist Vernetzung sehr, sehr hilfreich.
I think it's very, very helpful.
Wenn es irgendwie möglich ist, denke ich, macht
However it is possible, it makes sense to get connected, to share experiences, to share all the things. So, a very clear yes, networking is very important, very needed.
Und wenn es nicht möglich ist, geht es anders oder muss es anders gehen.
But if not possible, we have to find other ways.
Hat man für sich dann folgt man seiner persönlichen Aufgabe oder seinem Auftrag.
Then you just follow your personal task at the place where you are. But you always try to find opportunities to do some networking. Indeed, it's about unity or oneness on different levels, and also very concrete. It's about unity, and unity absolutely makes sense. And if it's possible, we should live it also and bring it to the world.
Vernetzung auf der Ebene. Das eine, was du ja ansprichst, ist Austausch eben zum Beispiel mit der SEPT oder mit anderen Organisationen.
One level is the sharing with SEPT and with other scientists.
Das, was auch angesprochen
But
wurde,
networking also means just to stand for cyclists, just to talk to people, to open up to people, to make congresses, for instance. Welcome.
dafür hinstehen.
Just stand for it
Ganz normalen Leben.
in your normal daily
Könnt ihr
life.
ins Mikro sprechen, weil die Englischsprachigen hören sonst nichts.
Im Zusammenhang würde mich interessieren, wie war denn das Setting?
I would be interested. So, what was the setting in Denver?
Unsere Delegation,
So,
da auch einen Abdruck irgendwie hinterlassen?
could you have an impact also in Denver, or you just were there looking what the others are doing? So, what was really happening there on the level of interactions? In Denver it was very difficult. But last autumn I was at a congress in the Netherlands.
Bei 1000 Leuten ist noch erstaunlich, wie viel man, wie schnell man wahrnimmt und weiß,
With 1,000 people,
wiedererkennt und so.
you just can orientate yourself quite fast. But it was difficult. But there were contacts, but just on an informal level, because we were not officially as a delegation from Switzerland there. So we don't make our own speeches there.
Ich habe nebendran mit Leuten gesprochen.
But besides, I was talking to people from MAPS from England that I met in the Netherlands last year, meeting them anew in Denver. So it's a start. It's not much, but it's a good start, I believe. I think it's the start of connections, and I will take care further on. So there are contacts that we can take care of in the future.
Ja, geht.
Aber Kirschblüte ist immer noch einzigartig so zusammenhängend.
But the community of Kirschblüte is still unique in their approach. I don't know if it's unique. But
Also du meinst zusammen, nein, sicher nicht einzigartig.
so I think it's not unique. Just look the people, just look the indigenous people at the Amazonas. They're living like this for thousands of years. Yes, I think we have to take care. We are not so unique, and I don't know. Maybe there are communities I just don't know about.
Besonders.
But it is very special, I would
Es
say.
ist auch weit entwickelt, also es ist so, ich finde, wir haben hier schon manches oder einiges von dem, was
And we were going
ich, wenn
far.
ich hinschaue, was ich finde, es fehlt an anderen Orten noch sehr. Sie sagen es auch, sie sind sich, es kommt so...
We have established many things
dass
that are lacking in other communities.
Integration,
For instance, the subject of psycholysis and integration.
dass es impliziert, dass es Gemeinschaft zum Beispiel impliziert. Und das drücken auch schon welche aus, auch die auf der Bühne stehen, die sagen, das haben wir noch viel zu wenig, wir haben das nicht. Uns fehlt das und so. Also da ist ein Bewusstsein da. Aber ich glaube nicht, dass wir die einzigen...
There is a consciousness for the deep connections of integration and living in community. So we have something very special and very valuable here in the Kirschblüte-Gemeinschaft.
Wie sie leben und man hört, das sind mehr Menschen, also das sind größere...
And sometimes you hear people talking about their lives and how they live, and then you hear they are connected with many, many people. And there are other scientists who are living more or less alone in their laboratories. And he is from the jungle, so...
Ich kann mich erinnern, vor ein paar Jahren hat der Rick Dublin gesagt,
I can remember a few years ago, Rick Dublin said,
Bewegung ist in dem Moment, hat die wirklich, wo die Leute coming out of the closet,
the gay movement
dazu bekannt haben. Und
was
er hat uns alle aufgefordert, gesagt,
was getting
das
strong and big
Psychedelic has to
when
come out of the
people
closet.
came out of their closets. So they had their coming outs. So he said, it's of the same importance that people that are integrated and have their experience, that they stand for it. This is very important. And nothing bad will happen. You will get away with it. You are apparently not just a Zen master, but also a master of networking. So, what is your advice? How could we connect more with the scientific community or the septs? Maybe you don't like to hear this, but most of all it's about personal contacts and personal relationships, and people see, they're not just so different. And
ganz konkret, warum müssen wir uns hier als
to be
echt
specific,
bezeichnen?
why do we have to call ourselves real? This implicates that the others are not real. If I'm the chosen one, the others are not the chosen one. So, is this really needed? Is this really needed?
Wenn ich echt bin, muss ich sie nicht ganze Zeit in der Welt ausschreien.
If I'm real, if I'm authentic, I don't have to tell the world all the time. Sorry.
Du hast noch gefragt, gibt es andere Gemeinschaften oder so? Also ich schaue in die Welt, wo kriegt jemand auf den Deckel und dann weiß ich, ja, da muss was Echtes sein.
So I look the world and where they're fighting somebody, and I think there has to be something real, something authentic. Like whether if it's about the climate, whether if it's about the protection of minorities, or everywhere where is a real movement, an authentic movement, they will fight against it. So it's like a sign of quality if it's happened that way. So we are over with the time. So a good word for the end. So, one subject also is, how do I find other psychedelic communities?
Ja, dann danke ich allen hier vom Podium und allen Teilnehmern.
So, I thank all the people here on the stage and all the participants for their attentions.
Ein paar Schlussworten und Musik.
Now we will hear a few words for the end and then at least some music. What we do first?
Die Musik kommt zum Schluss, aber es gibt
The music is for the end. But it's just one music that we will have.
Also die Schlussmusik kommt zum Schluss. Das ist
So the end credits will be at the end.
Ja, was macht man zum Schluss? Also natürlich
So,
Danke sagen, aber das ist
at the end,
schwierig. Das wird
we have
jetzt
to say
lange
thank
gehen.
you, because
Sich bei
it
allen
would
zu
take a
bedanken,
lot of
also
time
natürlich bei unseren
to
Gästen,
say thank you to
dass
all
ihr
the
gekommen
people.
seid, ist sehr schön
So
bei allen,
thanks
die
to you all
beigetragen
as
haben,
our
auch
guests,
die Erfahrungsberichte,
contributing
die Musik,
to our congress,
aber natürlich
all the
auch
reports, all the speeches that
noch
we
mehr,
have,
vor allem bei den vielen unsichtbaren
but above all,
Kräften, die Übersetzer da,
thank
die
you to
da
all the
hinten im
translators.
Raum hocken und die
This is
Technik
me, and the
Küche.
technicians, and the people in the kitchen, and all the people. Yes, come on, people, come on.
Ihr habt offensichtlich bemerkt, dass das Essen nicht eine Pausensache ist, sondern ein wichtiger Teil von dem Kongress.
I hope you saw that the eating was a very important part of the Congress.
Eben, danke, die Gemeinschaft, die
So,
vielen, die auch sehr,
thanks
sehr, sehr
to the
unermüdlich
community,
gearbeitet
to
haben.
all those people working night and day for the organization and to build it up. As Christoph with the technicians, Dominic with the music, Christina and all the others for the exhibition, Cornelia,
Ausstellung da draußen und. Ich habe jetzt bestimmt jemanden
and so on and so on. Of course, I forgot some people now, but
sehr schön und diesmal war es irgendwie
it was
besonders
very
schön.
beautiful, and this
Daniel
time
hat
it was
euch gesagt,
especially beautiful.
Es ist erstaunlich, dass immer
Recently,
ein
Daniel
Höhepunkt
said,
auf den nächsten folgt.
it's just one peak experience after another.
Schöner sein kann, aber ich finde,
And I really didn't know that it can become even just more beautiful. And it was another peak experience. So,
also auch die Beiträge und die Stimmung, auch die Stimmung im Hintergrund eben.
so all the speeches, but also the atmosphere in the background. And that so many new people were coming.
Sehr schön.
I found very beautiful.
Genau.
Exactly.
Wir schicken euch ein Mail.
We will send you a
wenn
mail
die Videos aufgeschaltet sind. Die Vorträge sind aufgezeichnet
when the videos
worden,
are
kann man im
online
Internet
of the speeches.
anschauen, auf der
So after you can look at them at our homepage, then we will send you an email.
Hinweis mit einem Link zum Bestellen von der schriftlichen Kongresspublikation.
And we will send you a link for all the
Zusammenstellt.
written
Da sind
papers
alle
from
Vorträge
the
und
speeches.
noch ein paar Texte zusätzlich und wahrscheinlich auch was von der Ausstellung wird da drin sein.
Ja, und jemand hat Daniels Vortrag mitgeschrieben.
Sogar.
Das heißt, den kann man auch nachlesen.
And also the speech of Daniel you will find there in our Congress book.
Ich weiß nicht, ob noch, es gibt von der Ausstellung auch noch teilweise Bilder zu verkaufen.
I think there are also some pictures for sale in the exhibition.
Genau, und vielleicht
Just to
schicken wir
tell
euch
you.
dann auch noch den Kontakt, wer diesen Film Der verbotene Weg bestellen möchte, weil den gibt es nicht mehr im Internet.
And maybe we send you the link for the film Der verbotene Weg, which you can order by Basharang.
Ja,
So,
genau, also das Thema könnte endlos weitergehen mit der Psycholyse.
we could go on endlessly, of course, with the subject of the psycholysis. If you are interested in a training group in the psycholytic field, there is
Ich
one.
glaube, die jetzige ist schon voll, aber grundsätzlich kann man sich dann bei uns melden.
We just
Es wird
invite
auch,
you to get in
wahrscheinlich
contact
eine englischsprachige
with us.
Ausbildungsgruppe geben in den nächsten Jahren.
We are also planning to do a training group in English in the further years.
Oder bei uns.
Then just get in contact with Daniel or Marianne, or also with us from Avanti. Now let me have a look.
Ja, nächste Veranstaltungen.
Next
Das
events
Symposium zum Thema Lebenskunst, 8. bis 11.
will be the
August
symposium next year
2024.
on the 8th to the
Auch hier.
11th August, also
Dann
here in
unser
this
nächster
place.
Kongress ist auch schon geplant.
And our
Der ist
next
ja alle
Congress,
2 Jahre.
we are also
Der
planning
ist
already.
vom 27.
It
bis
will be
29.
from the
Juni
27th to
2025.
29th June
In 2 Jahren.
2025.
Ganz anderes Thema, eins, was uns zurzeit sehr beschäftigt.
And just
und
another
auch
subject
neu ist.
that we are
Neurodiversität.
taking care at the moment is
Ja, das wird dann das Thema
neurodiversity.
sein.
This will be the congress of this will be the subject of the next congress in 2 years. But for sure we also go further on with the issue of psycholysis. We could just make just another congress on this subject because we had so many contacts and there were so many people telling us, now it's not possible, but another time I would come.
Jetzt wollen wir auch mal schauen, ob wir mal auch auf andere Kongresse können, vielleicht auch mal dort einen Vortrag halten.
But we will also
Ja, also
try to look if there are other congresses where we could go and we could contribute also for this subject of the psycholysis.
Dann bin ich auch
So,
am Schluss.
I think I come to an end.
Die Badges, die Namensschilder,
Please
bitte da draußen abgeben.
put your
Am besten
badges
jetzt schon
back
abmachen, dann
beside the tent.
vergisst man dann schnell.
Just take it
Das
off
wäre schön, wenn
right
wir die
now
dann
would be the
verwenden
best,
könnten.
so we can use them further on the next event.
Und ja, wir haben ja jetzt auch gehört oder festgestellt, wir sind halt in einer verbundenen Welt, wir beeinflussen
So we just
die
see
Welt
that we are
mit
in
den
an
Schritten, die
interconnected
wir
world.
machen.
We are influencing the world with every step that we
mit
take. We are
allem, ob wir das
connected,
gerade wahrnehmen
we are
oder nicht.
related with everything,
Und, ja,
whether
ich
we see
hoffe
it or not.
immer, dass, wenn man schon die
And
Welt
I just hope
beeinflusst, dass man vielleicht
if
mehr
you
Licht
can have an
einbringt,
influence or
mehr
an impact to
Schönheit,
the
mehr
world,
Beziehung.
bring in more light,
Und ich
more
hoffe, das
love
haben wir
and more
dieses
connection.
Wochenende
And
getan.
I really hope
Und
we
dass auch
made
etwas
this
davon
this weekend.
zurückbleibt und vor allem, wenn wir uns jetzt wieder zerstreuen
And above all,
Welt, dass
when we
jeder von uns
leave right now
und jede
and go back
draußen in
to
der
our
Welt
places
weiter
in the world,
schaut, dass man vielleicht immer noch mehr Schönheit
that
und
every one of us
Beziehung
will
und
take
Liebe
care to bring more beauty, more connection, more love to his
ich
place
hoffe,
in
das
the
hat
world.
euch ein bisschen oder uns alle ein bisschen dazu inspiriert, mal wieder oder das erneuert,
I hope you are inspired
diese Absicht.
and we could renew the aim
Ja, danke
for
euch allen
oneness and
und
love. Thank you all
Heimkommen,
so
uns
much.
erholen. Und das Schlusswort
And
hat dann jetzt die Musik, die wird uns jetzt hier von der Bühne fegen, weil das ist
So,
nämlich
the
der
last part will be the
Kirchenchor.
music because now it's time for the choir of the Kirschblütengemeinschaft. So, enjoy.